We're going to go over the purpose of CCTV. We're going to review some field of view factors, environmental factors, system components, what type of applications for it, and component selection and device capabilities. The purpose of CCTV is to observe locally, to observe remotely, to catch criminal activity, and to deter criminal activity. When you're installing CCTV, you will want to record and have hard evidence of criminal activity. So that way you can present evidence to the cops or to the courts in case something does happen. A majority of thefts is in the workplace and mostly from employees. Another reason to use it is to prevent lawsuits or to monitor home activity. When picking out your cameras, it's really important to choose the right type of lens for the field of view. It all depends on what the customer wants to view. Say they want to view like a whole room or just a doorway, then you will determine what kind of lens to use. There are two types of lens, fixed and varifocal. Fixed lens stays at a certain millimeter focal length and you cannot change it. A varifocal can range between 2.8 all the way to 100. The benefits of a varifocal is you don't have to choose the exact type of lens. You can stick a 2.8 to 12 millimeter on the camera, and you can get the exact field of view that you want. The smaller the focal length, the wider the picture will be. With the varifocal lens, you can, with that camera in the same spot, you can capture a doorway or the whole room. Here's an example of the different types of field of view. As you see from the first picture, a 3.6 millimeter lens. Look how wide it captures. You can capture like, the whole car and the background. When you bump it up to 12 millimeters, you'll see the car comes into focus more clearly, and it's only focusing on the car only. At 25 millimeters, you'll see you're capturing like almost half the car because of how zoomed in it is. With 3.6 millimeters, the benefit is you can capture a wider view, but less detail. As you get to 25 millimeters, you lose that area, but you gain more detail. So it's basically, to choose it is basically what you need to capture. The next part of picking cameras is determining the lighting conditions. Do you need to see in complete darkness? If so, then you would need an IR camera. As you can see in the first picture on the top, that is in complete darkness, but the camera switches to black and white, and the IR illuminates the room clearly. You cannot see the IR beams, like as a flashlight beams, but you can see a red glow coming from the LEDs. And then if you have a little bit of light, you can use a low light camera, as you see in the bottom picture. You'll see the camera on the left is an IR camera, where the distance of the IR is limited to that bush, whereas a low light camera, you can capture the whole parking lot clearly. Next, you would check out your difficult lighting situations. Whenever you're pointing at doors and windows or glass doors, those are difficult lighting situations. Those you would need a wide dynamic camera for. The first picture on the left for both pictures is a normal camera. Then as you see on the right, that's a wide dynamic camera. It basically compensates for the light in the background in the front. Then you'll consider your environmental outdoor conditions. do you need a weatherproof housing? Does it have to be vandal-proof? And for extreme weather conditions where it goes to very cold or very hot, you would need a camera with a heater and blower. With the cameras have sun shields because it will basically, lower the camera's temperature by a few degrees because the sun is hitting the shield instead of the camera directly. There are different types of cameras. There are box cameras, bullets, domes, and PTZ. With the box camera, it's very versatile because you can put any type of lens on there. You can put a fixed lens or you can put a varifocal lens. And then you can have the bullets, which are very popular because it's like an all-in-one camera. You don't need to worry about the lens. You don't need to worry about the mount. And it's weatherproof. And the most popular type of indoor camera is the domes. People use domes because it looks nice and is less intrusive than the box cameras for inside. And then we have the pan-tilt zoom cameras where you can control it from a joystick or a DVR. And these are the CCTV components you would need for your system. You would need a DVR, your wiring, your monitor, your camera, and your power supply. These are different types of connectivity. You must use RG59 or RG6 with at least 95% copper braid and solid copper core. You cannot use cable TV aluminum coax wires as a DC resistance is different and is more prone to interference. So basically, the ones you see that are common out there, the Cat6 wires are in the houses already. Those are made for cable TV or satellite. Those will not work correctly for CCTV. There's many different types of BNC connectors that connect to the cameras. There are twist-ons. Then you have the crimps, and you have the compression. So depending on your preference, then those are the ones you would use. And the power uses a 2.1 millimeter connectors. The recommended power wire is 18.2. And some of the coax wires will come with 18.2 attached to it, as you can see from the Siamese cable next to it. You can also use Cat5 or Cat6 to run your video. To use Cat5, you must use video balance on each end. What the video balance does is the typical impedance of the Cat5, Cat6 wires are 100 ohms, and the video signal runs on 75 ohms. So basically what the balance does is it converts it to 100 ohms into 75 ohms. So you would use one pair for transmitting video. So if you were using a blue pair, you would use the blue pair and the blue-white. You can also use unused pairs for power, but you must double it up. It's not recommended, but it will work. So if you're using 3 unused pairs for power, you will basically be using 18.2 wire for power. So these are different types of power supplies. 12 VDC is the most common, but there are cameras with dual voltage which has 12 or 24 VAC. The benefits of 24 VAC is that you can run longer distances with less severe voltage drops. So let's say you're running a 12-volt system and you're losing 2 volts. That would bring a 12-volt DC system down to 10 volts, whereas a 24-volt AC system would be 22 volts. So as you can see, the voltage drop is less severe because it's producing more voltage on the line. You have the plug-in transformers, Or you have like the also plug-in, but it splits into 4, and you have the central power supplies. And then you have the DVR. DVR stands for Digital Video Recorder. It comes in 4, 8, and 16 channels. It is always continuously recording, so you do not need to constantly change tapes like the VCRs like back in the days. It records criminal activity, and you can instantly play back any recorded events. Other features of DVRs is you can view live from the PC or Mac from anywhere in the world at any time. And you can also view live from your mobile phone at any time. This is very important since, this is for business owners, since they don't always want to be at the office or at their store, but they want to check in on their employees, or from like parents checking in on their grandparents or checking in on your kids. Basically, yes, well, we provide the best support in the industry. We'll configure the DVRs for you and spec out your system if you need to. So since we have some time, we can go over some basic DVR configuring while we're at it. And I'll show you some steps and some tips on what to do, how to configure DVRs. So any questions right now before we start that? Okay, so basically the first thing we do is we get the software for the DVR on whatever IP address it's at. So since I have a Windows computer, so I'm going to get the software from here. So I'll basically save the software onto my desktop. Here I will put in my IP address again. So this is basically our DVR after we connected all the cameras to it. I'll show you the different recording functions of it. Let's say here is where we'll go to quality and frame rate. This is where we choose on what type of resolution, quality, and frames per second that we will have. On our DVRs, we can do it individually. So, say we have a spot that's not that important, we can always lower the resolution and lower the quality and the frame rate. Or if it's very important, we can also raise the quality, and raise the frame rate. The thing about DVRs is it will always start to override itself once it gets to almost full. And here you have your motion setup. Here is where you can set up so you can basically tell which area to detect motion. So, so you can basically block out the trees, and so it doesn't accidentally trigger the motion in your DVR. So if I wanted to mask out more of the trees, I just start masking it out. Here's where you set up your schedule. We can set each schedule by days. Say we want Monday through Friday at a full 24-hour recording. But then on Saturday and Sunday, we just want it on motion only. So basically, that's how you set a full 24-hour recording. And on Saturday and Sunday, you have motion recording. So the benefits of motion recording is you save space. At the same time, but with the 24-hour recording, you get the benefits of having the security of viewing it 24 hours. What I like to do for my recordings, I do a combination of both. I do a low-quality 24-hour recording, and when there's motion that happens to appear, then the DVR bumps it up to high quality. So that way you get the space savings of motion. At the same time, you get the benefits. You get the benefits and the security of 24-hour recording. Just in case motion doesn't happen to do that, well, I'll show you how to do that. So basically, you'll check all days for 24-hour and for motion at the same time. But then we'll go to quality and frame rate after that. We'll lower the resolution on normal to like a very low quality, low frame rate. And then when motion hits it, you'll see it bump it up to a higher resolution, a higher quality, and a higher frame rate. So that's basically how you set it up for a hybrid style of motion and a 24-hour recording. This is the best way to record. And here you can set up your individual camera names and do a little tweaking on the sharpness, brightness, and contrast. And in the account setup, here you can set up for separate permissions. Say you want to set up a guest account with a certain password to let guests go in. And then you would give them certain permissions. If you want to give them playback, you want to let them see through a network, or just mask out that channel completely. And here's where you set your network up. You can set it up as a DHCP, or you can manually set it on as a static IP. Here's where you set the port and the quality of the transmission through the network. And if you don't have a static IP, you can set up on a DDNS account. So this US supports many different types of DDNS accounts, like DYMDNS and noip.org, or it does come with its own DDNS, which is idvr.net. And here's where you can set up the time. You can check off your hour format, your date format, and where you want the time to be. You can also set it to have its own on this NTP server to automatically get the time for you from the network. And here's where you can initialize your hard drive, which is formatting your hard drive. You do system recovery to restore everything to factory defaults. or you can upgrade and copy to the USB. To search for an event, you would first go to Search Setup. Here you can either search by event in the event list and just play back from here, or you can go to a time search. Say we want to play back something that happened yesterday at 11:16. So now it's playing back instantly. From here you can fast forward. You can rewind. You can pause it. Or you can go frame by frame. You can also do many different types of backup. The easiest way is backing up directly to your PC through your network. So you basically pick your from time, your to time, and name your file where you want to save it to. And then you just start, and it automatically will transfer directly to your PC. So basically that's the basics of our DVR. As you can see, it's very simple and easy to use and easily to be configured. Does anyone have any questions so far? On our website, we also have a list of all our cameras, and we also do have application guides. So if you need help with picking out your cameras, sometimes you can just look at the application guide that is on our website. We show you like what cameras to use for different situations. Here we have a basic gas retail convenience store. And then we also have a typical office on what cameras to use. So we'll pick the typical office and see what it looks like. So basically, for our office, you'll see different scenarios, the interior, the storage, and the outside. And then it gives you a list of cameras on what we recommend to use for those situations. We also have a list of cameras on the website, different types, with the spec sheets next to it. So does anyone have any other questions? Okay, we will be concluding our webinar today. Thank you all for coming. We have a more advanced course on Friday. So on Friday, we're going to have like our introduction to IP cameras. And we're going to show you how to create an NVR and connect the cameras. That's a more advanced one that shows a little bit more of the networking side of it. And it'll show you like different types of IP cameras and on how it all connects together into the NVR and how easy it is. So if you need an invitation to it, just feel free to email me or give us a call. My email is support@goldenstateinst.com. So, so join us on Friday when we go over the more advanced features of the IP cameras and go into more detail on it in our NVRs and different types of NVRs and how it all works. So this concludes our webinar. So thank you for coming by and hope to see you on Friday. It's on Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, so 12 p.m. for Eastern Standard. Thank you all. Oh, we have a question. So you, let me see. Hi, Tarika. Hello?
Hello. Oh,
Hi.
I was muted as well.
Oh, yes, I have to unmute you, so.
Okay. Well, I had an issue with my system being down, and I followed everything from the webinar, so I got all that. But still, when I had the IP address and everything connected, I still couldn't view my system from the computer system, like from my laptop.
On-site or off-site?
Off-site. On-site is
Off-site?
fine if
Fine.
from my monitor and everything.
Okay,
but
I'll show you how to do a quick, to do on-site, you basically log onto your router.
Okay. Well, and to log on to your router, you do that.
It depends on your network. That's why.
Okay. Because I'm not at home. I'm at work actually.
So basically, my router is on 10.1.10.1. So I'm going to show you how I would do it on my router. Your router might be a little different. It might be 192.168.1.1, or it could be on 192.168.0.1. So it all depends on where it's at.
Okay.
And you can always find like where your router is at by, let's say, we go to, let's say we will go to, we open the network and sharing center like this. Do you see what? Do you see this part? Yeah, so then we will go to, we'll check out the local area network connection, and then we'll go to details. And here, whatever your gateway is at, that's where your router is at. So.
Okay, I figured that out. Okay.
So let's see. Let me try to get into my router so I can show you. Let me try a different browser. So basically, we open up a browser and log onto the router this way. So basically, here's my login screen for my router. Your router might be a little different, so you put in your username and password.
Okay.
So whatever your password is every one is different. For my router, I would go to Advanced.
Okay.
I would basically create a virtual server or port forwarding, whichever one it applies to.
Oh,
you can
okay.
See, this is where I open it up to the outside, to certain internal IP addresses. Some are called virtual servers. Some are called port forwarding.
Okay.
You can also do port forwarding too. And say you have a DVR, say DVR, and then you want to send it to port 80 or 5000, something 5000.
Okay.
And to the internal IP address of 10.1.10.100. Then the the UDP doesn't, depending on if you need that or at all. So, and then we just save the settings and
It should work. So it's based on routing, not the IP address. So my thing is, I kept trying to do the IP address, and when I kept trying to log in, it would just time out. It wouldn't allow me to log in.
Well, you have to forward the port first. So.
Okay, and that's what I wasn't doing, and I had to log in from the router. So I put the router number in, and then that's how I can forward the IP address. Okay, I'll try it when I get home today. See if I can get it. If not, I'll ask you on Friday where I'll be at home with everything to do it.
Okay.
Okay, that's it for me.
Nate, you have a question? So if there's any more questions, we'll conclude our broadcast for today. And thank you everyone for coming. And join us on Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific or 12 p.m. Eastern, and we will go over our IP cameras and into more networking and stuff like that, the fun stuff. All right, thank you for coming by.